One of the more interesting facets of the video game industry and kind of reporting stuff has to be video game leak culture, where, 5 to 10 years ago, I don't think it was quite as prevalent. Leaks weren't always sort of sought out, but nowadays, that's all anyone talks about. That's all anyone's really interested in. Well, what's coming up next? Now, does that kind of say something about the video game industry right now and just the interest level in it? I'll leave that up for you to decide, but it definitely seems like leak culture in general in the past 5 to 10 years has become huge, and everyone wants to get the information first and then potentially give the information out there. I can kind of understand why. It's fun to be right about things. It's fun to sort of have people be like, oh, well, this person has some secret sources at these video game companies that knows what they're talking about. But there are ramifications that come from this sometimes, and there's a situation going on right now. It happened a couple days ago, but I'm kind of late to the party, but it involves Nintendo. And if you know anything about Nintendo, first and foremost, I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber, but more importantly, Nintendo is probably one of the strictest companies when it comes to any sort of stuff like this, whether it's information, game leaks, image leaks of games that haven't been announced yet or were announced and then canceled. Like, we've seen it time and time again, but this situation really rubs me the wrong way. So I want to talk about it today. And before I get into the video itself, I want to remind you guys, everything in life has 3 sides to a story. There's the he said, the she said, and then somewhere in the middle is the actual truth. So, one person says one thing, another person says another thing, somewhere in the middle is the actual truth. And we're using Kotaku for this. But I feel like they had the best write-up because the employee actually talked to them. GameStop fires guy after Switch Tears of the Kingdom or Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch leak. Like, wow, that's pretty extreme, okay. Maybe this is the person that leaked the images, though. You remember a couple of months ago, before we even saw this system, there was images of it, and people were like, this is fake, this is real, this, that, and the other. So let's read along with it, because there's lots of interesting stuff here. In March, an employee at a Massachusetts GameStop leaked on Reddit that Nintendo was probably about to reveal its long-rumored special edition Zelda Switch at an upcoming mini-direct for the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Special editions such as these are highly coveted collector's items, and news of one for the sequel to a best-selling game would be huge for fans looking to buy a new system. This week, GameStop fired the employee who leaked the news, and the employee claims he was told Nintendo helped make it happen. So obviously there's a lot of stuff to unpack there. I think I can add an interesting perspective to this, though, because I was a GameStop employee. Granted, it was 15 years ago. Things have obviously changed. But, you can see there's a picture coming up that I'm going to show you of the system that they use. It's still the exact same system that was there when I was there. But when I worked at GameStop, leak culture wasn't really a thing. Like, nobody really cared about it. Nobody... I feel like it does have to do with kind of the video game industry, kind of how it is right now, where everyone just wants to move on. It's kind of this ADD generation where nobody is satisfied with anything. It's always moving on to sort of the next thing. But back in my day, this was, like I said, it was like 15 years ago. The Xbox 360 had just dropped. Everyone was happy. Everyone was satisfied. Nobody cared about leaking what was new because we had what was new. And there was so much stuff coming out from the companies themselves that we didn't have to rely on stuff like leaks. Back in March, Mike, who requested Kotaku only use his first name, I wonder if his last name is Roch, posted a photo of a GameStop computer screen showing the inventory database had been updated with a secret new Switch model on the Tears of the Kingdom subreddit. It was the day before Nintendo's big extended gameplay reveal for Tears of the Kingdom, and the employee speculated in the post that a special edition Zelda Switch had already been leaked back in December, would be announced during the stream. Mike says he got fired on April 11th, about 2 weeks later. So the whole situation with the Zelda leaked Switch back in December, that's those pictures that we saw where people were like, obviously it was from like a manufacturing line, and people were like, oh, is this real? Is this fake? This, that, and the other. I always thought it was real. Because it was way too well done to be a fake, and there was like things that were like the pictures themselves were half-assed, and it's like, well, if you're gonna do a fake, like, I don't know, I feel like you'd sort of go all out. But here's the picture that got this guy fired, because the Reddit post has already been deleted. So you can see here, this is filters upcoming video game systems and GameStop's database system. We have an available SKU on 330, Xbox Series X, street date 6/6/2023. So this is a Xbox Series X variation. Test SKUs for the PlayStation 5. I'm going to assume that these are maybe pre-orders for the system. And then here's a Switch system. So HW hardware, TBD to be determined. Switch street date 12/31/2023. So 12/31/2023 is obviously a placeholder date. That's not the actual date that the system is going to come out. So this just sort of popped up, and then Mike said, oh, okay, I think this might be a Zelda Switch because it just popped up in the database. Now, but there's nothing to lead you to believe that this has anything to do with The Legend of Zelda besides the timing of it. Because, like I said, this is hardware to be determined. Switch street date 12/31/2023. If we wanted to be completely sure that this was, you know, an accurate leak or something that was going to be 100%, it would have the actual date of when the system released, which obviously didn't matter because one of my friends ended up getting it early. In a phone interview with Kotaku, Mike said he made the leak because he was a big fan of the franchise and wanted to give others a heads up in case pre-orders went live that day. GameStop said, in particular, had seen issues for buyers when it comes to pre-orders in the past, although this wasn't a reason cited by Mike for the leak. On March 28th, Nintendo did reveal a special edition Switch, and the following day, pre-orders went live at GameStop and other retailers. At the time, the Reddit post didn't garner a ton of upvotes, and now the employee says he didn't think it was that big of a deal since he technically didn't leak any images or special details about the console itself, and the post was mostly speculative. Nintendo also tends to release special consoles such as this one for its major releases such as Pokemon, which once again we've seen that time and time again with these releases. They did a Pokemon Switch OLED that I'm going to show you here. Like, this isn't outside of the realm of possibility for Nintendo, but here's where things get kind of off the rails with this situation, because I don't know how I feel about this. So a week later, on April 5th, Mike said the company traced the leak back to them. Coming in for his afternoon shift after watching the new Super Mario Bros. Movie, he said his district manager called him into the back room for a meeting. Joined by another GameStop supervisor via video conference, the employee said he was asked if he made the post and whether or not he knew it violated company policy. Mike said he immediately confessed, but maintained he wasn't aware it was against the company's social media policies. The district manager took their keys and placed them on suspension, saying the final punishment could be between a first offense write-up and a termination. It ended up becoming a ladder, and now the former employee thinks Nintendo is to blame. Now, as far as taking away your keys and stuff, like, they did that when I worked at GameStop when I got robbed. They tried to say that I was I was working with the person who robbed the store and stuff. I have a video up of it on the channel. It's an absolutely bizarre and stupid, completely stupid situation. But this is a thing where it's like, you know, at first, it doesn't seem like a terminatable offense at all. You know, I feel like this would have been a write-up. Maybe you're put on probation. What that means is, like, if you're a key holder, they take away your keys and you go from like full-time to part-time for like a couple weeks, and then they change it back to full-time. But where does Nintendo get involved with this? Well, that's where things get interesting. When the store manager called on April 11th to deliver the bad news, he said the supervisor told them off the record that Nintendo had forced the company's hand, demanding the employee be terminated over the leak. Mike shared the allegation on the Tears of the Kingdom subreddit shortly afterwards, writing, "Hopefully all of you were able to get your Switch pre-orders, as I won't be able to get mine." GameStop and Nintendo did not immediately or respond to a request on the comment. And you can read down here that somebody actually that also works at the store said that this was the same sort of thing, that they were told that Nintendo was the catalyst and that he was an amazing worker, they said of Mike, this, that, and the other. And Mike didn't do anything to sort of, you know, cover his tracks, because I wasn't really trying to cover my tracks because I didn't know it would lead to this. So Mike then says he won't be able to get one because he doesn't have a job. This is your favorite company, and now they hate you. And I think that's kind of what I'm taking away from this, because they essentially ruined this dude's life. And I know, you know, I'm assuming this guy's younger and he'll bounce back from it. But, you know, having your life ruined doesn't necessarily mean that your entire life is ruined. It just means currently your life is ruined. There's a current situation that is ruining you, and it could, you know, take you a week to get over, a month, a year, a decade. You know, each person is their own individual. But I just feel like this is such an overreaction, and I almost feel like they're trying to make an example out of this person for all the other leaks that have occurred. You know, we saw the system back in December. Okay, this person didn't show the system. We saw the art book. Okay, this person didn't show the art book for this game. They simply saw a new SKU pop up in GameStop's database, you know, before Tears of the Kingdom came out, and said, hey, this could be a Tears of the Kingdom thing, and it could have been, or it could have not been. We all talked about the fact that we thought this was a thing back before they announced the Mario Nintendo Switch bundle for Mario Day. If you remember that, it was the red Nintendo Switch bundle that was Mario themed. You got a Mario download on it. We saw the image from the GameStop database. We thought that it might have been that, but it ended up being the Mario thing. I don't feel like this is a leak that's necessarily a fireable offense, because all this really does is it makes you look like you're completely overreacting to these things, and you are trying to make an example out of this individual. That is, if everything is to be taken at surface level. Like I said, there's the he said, the she said, and then somewhere in the middle is the actual truth. Could there be things that this individual Mike is leaving off with this case? I mean, I'm sure there could be, but I think we all know that the Nintendo ninjas are very real. I've had my interactions with Nintendo. I know people that have had Nintendo show up at their front door over weird situations like this, things that you wouldn't think are a big deal. So I'm not necessarily doubting the story. I'm just saying there could be something that ends up, you know, tying into it that maybe was another thing. Maybe he wasn't a good employee. Maybe they were looking for a reason to get rid of him. But everything from this story kind of doesn't make me think that. So I think at the end of the day, it just sucks for Mike, because not only did he lose his job, you know, not only did he lose a source of income, but his favorite company, something that he's super passionate about, now hates him. That they don't like him. They don't want anything to do with him. They look at him in a negative manner. And I can relate to that, since Nintendo doesn't really like me either. But just got to press on, Mike. I wish you luck. I hope you find another job. You know, I would be interested to see if anything else comes from this situation. But, you know, a write-up, I get it. Take away his keys, put him on a little probation, sure. Be like, hey, you messed up. You didn't know you messed up, but you messed up. But this, to me, just seems overboard. But what do you think about it? Do you think that this was the right decision to fire this employee over a picture that has nothing to do with Zelda? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.